Welcome, everybody, to Spiritual Discoveries with Angie and Friends. I'm excited to be with you here today. We're going to talk a little bit about Fellowships of the Spirit, okay, School of Healing and Prophecy, and some amazing workshops that are coming up in the month of June. So everybody, this is Dr. Ryan Gauthier, okay? He has over 20 years experience in natural medicine and healing arts. I loved all the amazing things that you do when I read your bio. I didn't know all this, and I know you. So he holds both a master's and a doctorate in acupuncture and oriental medicine. He additionally has a master's in integrative healthcare leadership. Dr. Gauthier is a licensed acupuncturist and massage therapist, a registered yoga teacher, a clinical hypnotherapist, and Reiki master teacher. And of course, he was ordained through Fellowships of the Spirit, School of Healing and Prophecy. When was that? A few years ago, right?
Yeah, 2 years ago.
Oh, just 2 years. Oh, I thought it was longer. I feel like I've known you for a long time. So, Ryan, I feel like we can talk about your class, but I feel like I want to have you back because I want to ask about like so many things. Let me first ask about acupuncture. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so it's one of the oldest documented medicines. We have one of the oldest medical texts as well that explains how disease comes about in the body from an energetic form, where it starts an energetic pattern first and then manifests physically. And from that, we're able to come up with patternings within the body, energetic, that can help reverse disease in the opposite way.
And that's what that's what acupuncture does, like with the needles. So can you do that? So so that starts before the disease, a disease manifests.
Yeah, so really what happens is signs will start to show up on the body. So we often look at things like 8 principles. Is the energy too internal? Is it too external? Is it too fast? Is it too slow? Is it too hot? Is it too cold? Is it too yin? Is it too yang? So these are kind of like bigger, broader categories, but those things will start to show up in the body very early. So for instance, if something's too hot, the face might start getting red before it manifests as another disease, or the tongue might start getting red, or somebody might get hot flashes or flushes. For instance, if something's too dry, you might start noticing flaky skin before an actual full pathogen arises. So There's different signs and symptoms we're trained to look at. And those are 2 kind of small examples. But we look at the tongue, we look at the pulse, we look at the eyes, we look at the shen, or the quality that's held within the spirit on the complexion. And all of those things grouped together kind of give us an idea of what the body's going on.
Wow.
And as we know, the body's always in flux because we're energy in motion in our body. And so that energy, everybody's going to have some small imbalance. Perfectly balanced is what we all strive for, but we all have our different imbalances. But it's when the imbalance goes too strong that it actually causes disease. And so we try to bring it closer back to that center point. And that's really what we do through acupuncture and Chinese medicine.
So would you say acupuncture, it almost kind of sounds like acupuncture should be something everybody should do.
Oh, yeah, it's really good. It can help maintain wellness as well. And I think what people don't often understand, when you're trained as an acupuncturist, you're often trained in herbal medicine, you're trained in nutrition, you're trained in exercise, you're trained in meditation. And so these are all things we pair depending on what the patient needs in order to bring them to that balanced point.
Wow. And so that's like Chinese medicine, right? And as I'm listening to it, it's like diagnosing the whole body, right? Not just.
Yeah. So we look for a pattern differentiation. And so how is the energetic pattern causing the symptomology in the body? And how do we reverse that pattern or set the pattern on the right course of path to counteract?
Wow. I love that. I personally love that because I can remember going to the doctor and being diagnosed with RA. I have RA. And or my body has it. They say I have it. I should never say I have it, right? And so, but I remember going to the doctor and they said, here's the medicine that's going to fix you. And I needed it. I was grateful for it. But I said, aren't we going to try to understand why I have it? And they said, no, we don't do that. We just give you the medicine to correct it. So whereas if I went to you would have said, you probably would, I probably wouldn't have had to ask that question because you already would have been doing that, right?
Well, I think it's a balance. I think we look for a root cause. We think of things as like a tree. You can either look at the branches, which are the symptoms, or the roots, which are the cause. And
Ooh, I like that.
and I think you try to address both. And so I think there's a place for Western medicine and Western medicine treatment, and I think it's very important.
Yes.
But I also think that there's a place for our natural medicines and a place that they can work hand in hand and give a person the best care that they can possibly have by getting the best of both worlds. And I think discounting either one is a real mistake. But I think when you get the combination, you can really see how you can bring a person back to that place.
That makes so much sense because I have to say I still take the meds. You know, I'm very, very grateful for those. But then I kind of went on my own to sort of figure out the rest of it to kind of get myself in balance. It's important. I think you need both to be perfect, to be better, not perfectly balanced, but better balanced, right?
I think so. And I think for some people, they don't need as much medication, or they might not need it after they get rebalanced. But that's us working alongside the prescribing physician to see if we can reduce things. And that often happens. And I think that's important. But I think at the initial stages, medicine definitely has a very important part. And there's certain conditions where you definitely need to have medicine all the way through. And it all depends on what the condition are, what the balance is for that person. And it's very individualized too. And that's why I don't like to cookie cutter anything for anyone, because I think when we look at a person, that person is an energetic body that has very different things that are coming in mind, body, and spirit. And so that's why we call it patterning. A pattern, you can fit into several different patterns at a time, but you're still going to have your own signature to that.
Yes. And I love that I was going to ask, that was going to be my next question, is healing body, mind, and soul, because you have to heal on all those levels, right?
It really is. And I think sometimes it's chicken or egg game, which came first, but it doesn't really matter. It can be an emotional or an energetic thing that causes a physical, or a physical that causes the emotional and energetic. And so we treat one and it will affect the others. So it kind of depends on what thing is the most prominent right now that we need to peel away. And I kind of look at that one like an onion. There's different layers, and as you peel away, you may get deeper into what's actually going on from what it originally looked like, but you keep working on those layers and you don't just stop there.
Yeah, you have to keep going. So what are suggestions that you would have for people that are watching, and for me, I want to hear too, that we can do to stay balanced? What are the best things we can do?
Well, it's funny because a lot of things we hear about in the Western world, things like sugar and alcohol and fried foods that they say are bad, those actually throw off our energetic body as well. So working away from processed food as well, trying to have a more whole food diet, and then I think in our society, we've forgotten that we need to have quiet time and downtime. And I'm a very busy person, but I also try to make sure that I have time where I'm alone, time where I can reflect, time where I can meditate, time where I can pray. And so that's another piece, is that body needs time to reset. And so another piece of that is adequate sleep, And then we talk about exercise, and exercise doesn't have to be like power pump at the gym or lifting 500 pounds deadlift. It's about getting outside and moving the body, because a moving body is alive. A stagnant body is starting to die. So it's that balance between quiet time and movement, and not getting stuck in either one. And so
go ahead. No, go ahead. No, I was going to say, you can tell when you need it, and you don't always pay. Like, I think it's listening to your body, because I know I just had a day I wasn't feeling well, and I thought I better take a day and just kind of stay home and read a book all day, or meditate and not talk to anybody and just be by myself. And so that helped me to start getting better. But also I was starting to find that I couldn't think, like I couldn't make a decision, or, everything seemed so big to me. And when I took that day, that's all it took, but the next day I felt I'm centered and balanced again. Like I can think I'm okay. Right.
Yeah. And I think these type of things and lifestyle modifications are things people can do all the time to try and give themselves balance. And you don't have to make it some big achievement. These are small lifestyle changes where, you know, if you're eating bad every day of the week, first start out by trying to eat better 3 times a week, you know, and make those little changes and see how your body feels. And
Yeah.
your body will speak for itself. And when
Yeah.
you get enough sleep, you'll realize you aren't as anxious. You know, you aren't feeling as angry. You aren't letting things irritate you as much. And it doesn't mean it's going to be a cure-all for every situation. Obviously, life fluctuates in its ups and downs, but it helps us to try and stay at a place where we can have a perspective that's very different.
That's so true. And you know what I think is important too? Like you said, you know, start 3 days a week, you know, be gradual. And also I think this is important too. If for some reason you have a day that you do eat a bag of potato chips or something, or you know, you have some cookies, you know, don't look at it like, okay, that's it. Go back to being healthy the next day, right?
I agree. I think sometimes we're so hard on ourselves
Yes.
that hardness affects the mental body, the spiritual body, the emotional body, and it can be just as damaging or more than the initial act of having that small cheat day, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I think there's that balance where no, you don't want to do bad all the time, but being too type A on yourself is going to be a hard thing too.
Yeah, because it's kind of what you're saying to yourself, right? If you're beating yourself up and I'm bad or I do everything wrong or something, that's not good messages to give your body or give yourself, right?
You know, and I think from the spiritual perspective, whether that's Chinese medicine or being a reverend, we have to respect and love ourselves. And so there's different ways to do that. And I think beating ourselves up over something we did that might not have been the best choice is not good. Looking more towards the future and how we can lessen that in the future is a better choice. You know,
Must,
I see people beat themselves up all the time and give me a list of the things that they did wrong. And I'm like, okay, it's great that we acknowledge this, but let's leave that there, you know?
yeah, we don't have to focus on the bad things like over and over and over again. And besides that, isn't that like we're here and we're spirit in a human body. We're here to learn. Of course, we're gonna. I don't know if you want to call them make mistakes. I'd say more. Of course, we're gonna create those learning opportunities, right? Look at them that way.
Well, I think it brings up a good point about judgment too. You know, often society puts an image of who we're supposed to be and how we're supposed to be, but they don't take into account all the trauma that people go through. And everybody has trauma in their past in some way, shape, or form.
Everybody.
And so some people might deal with the trauma by being a type A personality. Some people might deal with it by eating their emotions. Neither is necessarily a balanced approach, but it helps them in the time where they're at to survive. And so it's about looking at what that pattern is and making the choices to have healthier ways to deal with things too, but without judgment. I think that judgment piece is key, and it's self-judgment and external judgment. And so, yeah, go ahead,
I
Karen.
was going to say, I wasn't ever thinking of I'm hurting my energy body when I speak poorly about myself or my spiritual body. I guess I'm so in the, I feel I was relating to my physical, but you're really bringing up how it is within all of those layers. And because we're made of water, I know water has a lot to do with that too, with the frequencies of water. And so this is a great reminder for me to when you're speaking down about yourself, it's on all energetic levels, not just.
Well, and it's interesting. We just talked to Jill. I'm also a sound therapist. It's one of the things
I know
didn't
you are. I
mention.
was going to ask about that.
But I would say the words we say create a vibration as well. And
Okay.
it's very practical. So getting back to the acupuncture or even the chakras in Ayurveda, those are energy bodies within the body that have been mapped out through the ancient arts, whether it's Indian or whether it's Chinese. And when we create a vibration that's not healthy, whether that's through food or lack of exercise or even over exercise, I mean, that can be just as damaging. You know, we create a patterning, we're setting the intention for that energy within those maps. And so what we can do is help release that through our intention or through energy work. And so I think that is what's super important, is to know that there's always a part that can be healed, you know, and that's coming from a place of divine energy, not from a place of judgment. Because often people will say, when you point out something that needs to be healed, maybe you're judging. No, it's about how do we get back balance so we can live the most optimal life.
And connect to the divine energy that's there for all of us. Just so you're saying that with Jill, right? With the angel energy or the intuitive energy, it's there. We just have to sometimes reconnect to it, right?
Right. And sometimes when we can identify how the energy flows through our body, we can automatically tell when something's off.
Yeah.
Like, you know, being a doctor of Chinese medicine, I can be like, I feel kind of funky today. I think I'm coming down with a cold. Then I'll instantly take my pulse and I'm like, oh my, the pulses are off too. I need to do something right away or this is going to develop further. And sometimes I can catch it and stop it right in its tracks. Other times it's too far advanced.
Yeah. Yeah. But you can stop it like how? By saying, I think I'll rest, or I think I'll.
Yeah. So I will often rest if I feel like it's like cold caused by cold. Then I'll wear warmer clothes. I may take Chinese herbs, drink hot tea. So there's a bunch of different tricks. Use essential oils.
Are these things that you're going over in your class?
Yes, let's talk. I know.
I was just curious. I know I spoke to you about your class, but I didn't know if you're giving that type of tips and tools.
Well, there will be small tips fed into the whole class. What we're going to do in the class is look at these ancient Chinese medicine and Ayurveda medicine and how they map the body and the energy. So we'll start out at a very basic route and talk about colors, talk about pathways. I'll hand out some maps of energy in the body. We'll actually feel some acupuncture points on the body and see what the energy feels like. And then what we're going to do is actually work on each other and see how we can adjust that from a very easy way. Because you do not have to be an acupuncturist, a yoga teacher, an Ayurvedic doctor to utilize these energies. These are part of our divine right as a human. We're given this energy, and you just can't put a needle in somebody. I mean, you need a license to that. Or as a massage therapist, you can't manipulate the tissue because you need a license, but you can definitely still work with the energy that's underlying. And so we're going to explore that and explore some very interesting ways to do that with each other through visualization, through intuition, and linking intuition to logic or creativity to concrete. And so I often think, one of our teachers at Fellowships was Cassandra Joan Butler, and she talks about the Gemini energy, where often people think it's the two twins and two different personalities, but she tells us it's the creativity or the intuition meeting the logic. And I think about that within our healing work, is that Gemini energy, is how do we use something logical and not get up in the clouds of something unobtainable, but also use our intuition combined at the same time. And I think that's what this course explores.
I love that. I love that. And that's something for everybody, because everybody, I have that within me, the logic, versus the intuitive and what to do with that. I love that. So Ryan's class is Ancient Wisdom in Modern Healing. Okay. It's on June 24th from 10 to 5. Is it hybrid or no?
It's not hybrid. And part of the reason we chose to do it this way first is because of the amount of hands-on work we're doing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you would need to be there in person. So it's in person at Fellowships of the Spirit, Lakeside Learning Center, 282 Dale Drive. And if you've never been down to Fellowships of the Spirit, it is right on the lake. They have beautiful windows. You get to learn, you get to heal.
It's such a beautiful space. And I think, it's a perfect space to work within your own energy. And I guess one of the points I want to make about my class too is it's super non-threatening. People often look at these things and they're like, I don't even know where to start. There's so many people that profess to be an expert on this energy and it feels unobtainable. This is not. I teach you that there's not really a wrong answer. It's about exploring. And as humans, we're here to learn and explore. And it's about learning how to help yourself and help others through exploration of your own energy. And we're going to be using stuff like meditation, maybe even a little bit of group hypnotherapy to see meridians and acupuncture. We're going to
Wait,
be.
what are meridians?
Oh, so meridians are the channels through the body that acupuncture points lie on. So we
Ah,
kind of think about them like rivers of energy in the body. So
okay.
there are 12 major energy rivers, and then there's two center line as well, which are older energy. And we'll learn how to look at that river and see where there's imbalances. And you can kind of think of it like, where has a big boulder been put in the stream and hold things up? And so how do we remove those boulders so that the stream flows more easily?
I getting chills when you say that. That's so true. But in class, they're going to learn how to get rid of the boulders so their energy flows more freely. We all are, and that's going to help us be more in balance all the way around.
Yeah, and for people who are experienced with spiritual style healing, we often just let our intuition guide us and we go from spot to spot. This will actually combine that with some of these systems that are added in. And what we have to remember is the chakras and the meridians were mapped through meditation and intuition by the ancient sages. And so it's not like this is just somebody had a logical thinking. No, they were actually working within their own energy fields and came up with how to map this within the body.
Wow, that's awesome, and I love that. So this class workshop is for anybody can come. Do you have to know anything to come?
You absolutely have to know nothing. I'm going to be starting out from square one. And the part I would like to share is there's going to be pearls of wisdom for everybody. So even if you've been doing energetic healing for 20 years like myself, you will get something from this, because I've gotten to study with people from around the world who have taught me interesting things over my years of training and study and clinical application that you may never learn anywhere else. And so we will start out at the basics and talk about chakra colors or colors associated with each meridian and what those look like and what the emotions are. But then we'll move fastly into the next area of how do you apply this to your own life?
Yeah, yeah, which is so important, and get those all balanced and know what to do. And don't you think this too, Ryan? It sounds like they're going to learn this in class too. It's awareness of your body too, and awareness of how you're feeling and what you need.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And the other piece that I think goes along with this is, as we're working in class, we'll learn how to work on families and friends too. And so it's not that you're only going to learn about yourself. You'll learn this is embodied in yourself, but then how it's embodied in another person.
And so you can take it if you want to, and say somebody in your family isn't feeling well or something's going on. You can use the techniques you learn to help them.
Yeah, absolutely. And so people who are familiar with Reiki and laying hands over certain spots, we're going to be utilizing that same type of energy, or the same energy that you use in spiritualist style healing, of raising hands above a certain spot on the body to help manipulate the imbalances or rebalance the imbalances. I guess manipulate's not the word I like, but
Yeah. I know that
it-
sounds like what? But you're right though. Go ahead. Go ahead.
and then also, I'm a person who is able to see points in the body and points of imbalance by looking. But we know that some people are more visual, some are more kinesthetic, some are more auditory, and all of these things will come into play with this work as well.
So you mean see it that you're seeing it intuitively?
Yeah, so sometimes when I work with an acupuncture patient, I'll see a point on the body that's an acupuncture point mapped show up as gray, and I'll know that that point needs to be needled. And so it doesn't happen on 100% of the points all the time, but sometimes those visions will happen, or I can see in a chakra that part of the chakra is working fine or the other chakra is not. And I'm going to walk people through how they can do that themselves as well.
Oh, this sounds like a dynamic class. This is awesome. Everybody, you can't miss this class. This is an important class for you, and if and getting yourself balanced, and it's an important class. You can use it to help other people, and we need this. I think healing right now in our world is so important, don't you, Ryan? And being in balance.
I do, and I think learning this can be fun. It doesn't have to be overwhelming. And I think that's the point I like to drive home too, is that we're going to have fun in this class.
And you are fun, Ryan.
Ryan is fun. Yes, I
he
agree.
is a good, fun person to take class with, for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And even though I have tons of graduate studies, tons of experience, I try to bring this to a level that is manageable and obtainable for the masses. And I think that's part of my goal, because we can all use healing in our lives.
All of us, every single one of us, that's for sure. I love it. So, ancient wisdom and modern healing, practical ways to combine ancient wisdom about the meridians, chakras, and energy flow in your healing practice. And this is with Dr. Ryan Gauthier. He's very knowledgeable and he's fun, because that's so important in learning. I agree with you, Ryan. We have to have fun. So this class is held in person at Fellowships of the Spirit, June 24th, 2023. So come on down, register. You can also look on my Facebook page and Fellowships of the Spirits page, because we'll be posting it, over and over again, and you'll be able to get the link there. Jill's course, which is coming up, Discover Angel Reiki and Activate 12th Dimension Energies. That's on June 25th, right, the day after Ryan's. Yeah, so what a great weekend, really. You can make a weekend out of it, is come and see, take Ryan's class Saturday and Jill's class Sunday. Jill's is available on Zoom or in person. And then we also talked earlier to Brad Young, his class on dowsing, the 17th.
The 17th, and that one is in person and online.
Yeah, so lots and lots of excellent courses coming up for Fellowships of the Spirit the whole summer. So, and going into the fall. So definitely take a look at the website. And Ryan, thank you so much for coming on. It was so interesting. I have to have you back on again. I have lots of things to ask.
Sounds good. There's lots of stuff we could talk about. Thank you both for having me on, and I very much appreciate the opportunity. And I hope everybody out there decides to come and try out the class with us.
And thank you, everybody, for joining us. We appreciate it. And we can't wait to see you down at Fellowships of the Spirit this summer. Thank you.